What if the most powerful move in a heated situation is not to engage, not to argue, but to strategically and calmly step back? In a world that prizes constant connection and immediate response, what if true strength is found not in proximity, but in the profound wisdom of creating distance when needed? Today, we explore the Stoic art of using distance to protect your peace and preserve your power. Real men create distance when needed. Compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. Know when silence speaks loudest. Imagine a council of wise elders gathered to discuss a matter of great importance. A young, impassioned but foolish speaker stands and makes an aggressive, ill-conceived and disrespectful proposal. The other members begin to shift, ready to shout him down, to argue, to engage in the chaotic fray. But the chief elder, the wisest of them all, does something different. He does nothing at all. He leans back slightly, his expression calm and unreadable, and he allows a profound and heavy silence to fill the room. This silence is not empty. It is a powerful statement. It is a quiet, non-verbal refutation of the foolishness that was just spoken. The young speaker, met not with the argument he expected, but with a wall of dignified silence, begins to falter. His own foolish words echo back at him in the quiet, and he feels their hollowness. The silence has done what no angry retort ever could. It has won the argument without ever entering the battle. The inner conflict for many of us is that we have forgotten the immense power of this kind of silence. We feel a nervous, compulsive need to respond to everything, to have the last word, and to fill every available space with our own voice, believing that constant engagement is always the strong move. The painful and debilitating problem with this is that our compulsion to speak often makes us weaker, not stronger. When we are faced with a provocation, a pointless argument, or a foolish comment, our ego screams for us to jump in and correct the record, to defend our honor, to prove the other person wrong. By immediately engaging, we are descending to their level. We are accepting the premise of their low-quality engagement. We are taking the bait, and in doing so, we are handing them control of our attention and our emotional state. We waste our precious energy in pointless, draining verbal brawls that solve nothing and only serve to diminish our own peace of mind. We believe we are showing strength by arguing, but we are actually demonstrating a profound lack of self-control. The transformative solution is to recognize that in many situations, especially those involving provocation or futility, strategic silence is a far more powerful, intelligent, and dignified response than any words could ever be. It is learning to become the wise elder who knows when silence speaks loudest. The core Stoic idea is that silence, when chosen deliberately, is not an absence of communication. It is a powerful form of it. It is not a passive void, but an active presence. It communicates self-control, confidence, and a refusal to be baited into a low-level game. The Stoic philosopher Zeno, the founder of the school, famously taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so that we may listen more and speak less. This implies that speech is a precious resource to be used with surgical precision, not scattered like cheap seeds. The benefit of mastering this is that you preserve your most valuable assets, your energy and your inner peace. You learn to hold your ground without saying a word, which is profoundly disarming to those who wish to provoke you. You gain a reputation as a person of substance and thought, a man whose rare words carry immense weight because they are not diluted by constant, needless chatter. The actionable step to cultivate this is the strategic silence practice. In your next conversation that feels pointless, circular, or provocative, you must consciously choose to respond to a comment with nothing but calm, deliberate silence. Let the other person's words hang in the air, unanswered. Maintain calm, open, and neutral body language and gentle eye contact. Do not look angry or passive-aggressive. Simply be still. The goal is to observe the effect of your silence on the dynamic of the conversation. You will notice something incredible. The other person, uncomfortable with the space you have created, will often start talking again, either to fill the silence or to justify their own statement. They will, in effect, begin to argue with themselves. You have won the exchange without expending a single word of your own energy. I urge you to try this practice this week in a low-stakes situation. See silence not as an awkward pause, but as a powerful strategic tool. Silence is a form of distance, but what about a deeper emotional distance that allows us to stay calm even when we are engaged? Our next lesson is on how emotional detachment is a form of strength. Before we continue, please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to continue your journey into the art of powerful, silent strength. Lesson 2. Emotional detachment is strength. Imagine you are an astronaut in orbit, looking down at the Earth from the silent, calm sanctuary of your spacecraft. From your vantage point, you can see the entire planet. You can observe the great, swirling hurricanes forming over the ocean, massive storms of immense and chaotic power. You can see them. You can understand their nature, you can track their path, but you are not in them. You are not being tossed about by their violent winds or drenched by their torrential rains. Your distance, your detachment, is what gives you a clear, calm, and all-encompassing perspective that is impossible for anyone caught in the storm on the ground to possess. The inner conflict we face is that we become emotionally enmeshed and entangled with the weather patterns of other people. We get caught in their emotional hurricanes. The painful problem is that we often mistake empathy for entanglement. When a friend, a family member, or a partner is in a state of intense emotional turmoil, if they are filled with anxiety, anger, or despair, our instinct is often to dive headfirst into that storm with them. Their chaos becomes our chaos. Their anxiety infects us with anxiety. We lose ourselves in their emotional state, believing this is what it means to be a caring and supportive person. But this emotional contagion is not helpful. We are like a rescuer who, upon seeing a drowning person, jumps into the water without a life raft and begins to drown alongside them. Now, there are two victims. By sacrificing our own emotional center, we lose the very clarity, stability, and strength that would have made us genuinely useful to the person we care about. The transformative solution is to become the astronaut. It is the Stoic practice of cultivating a healthy emotional detachment, the art of creating enough inner distance to be able to observe and understand another person's storm with compassion without getting swept away by it yourself. The core idea is the crucial Stoic distinction between empathy and emotional contagion. A Stoic warrior is not an unfeeling robot. He cultivates deep empathy, which is the ability to understand and acknowledge another person's feelings from a rational, compassionate distance. He can say with genuine sincerity, "I can see that you are in immense pain right now, and I am here with you." Emotional contagion, on the other hand, is the unconscious, reactive process of absorbing and taking on their feelings as your own. It is saying, "You are in pain, and now I am in pain too." The Stoic understands that the former is helpful, while the latter is not. His strength lies in his ability to remain the calm anchor, not another boat being tossed by the waves. The benefit of this is that you become a profoundly powerful and stabilizing presence in the lives of others. People feel safe with you, especially in a crisis, because they know you are a calm harbor, a place of strength they can turn to that won't collapse under the weight of their own turmoil. This builds immense trust and respect. The actionable step to practice this is the observer stance. The next time you're with someone who is caught in a strong emotional storm, you must consciously adopt the mindset of the astronaut. Your mantra is, "I am the calm observer of their storm, not another boat to be tossed by their waves. My job is to be the anchor." As you listen, focus part of your attention on your own inner state. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice your own calm breathing. Listen with deep compassion, but maintain a small bubble of psychological distance. You're observing their weather pattern from the safety of your spacecraft. This practice allows you to offer genuine comfort and wise perspective precisely because you have not surrendered your own. I challenge you to try this stance in your next difficult interaction. Be the anchor for someone you care about. This detachment is a way to protect our self-worth. How does creating distance serve as the ultimate guardian of our inner value? That is the subject of our next lesson. If you found this lesson insightful, please like this video to help it reach others. Lesson 3. Distance protects self-worth always. Imagine the sun, the center of our solar system. It is a source of immense, life-giving light and warmth. All the planets depend upon it. However, its power is so great that a healthy distance is essential for life to thrive. If the Earth were to move too close to the sun, it would be incinerated and consumed. Its life-giving power would become a destructive force. The very distance that separates us from the sun is what allows us to benefit from its warmth without being destroyed by its intensity. The inner conflict we face is that we often fail to recognize when a person, like the sun, is a destructive force in our lives, and we mistakenly believe that proximity and endurance are signs of strength. The painful problem is that continued close contact engagement with chronically negative, critical, or manipulative people will inevitably erode our self-worth, our optimism, and our peace of mind. We are the Earth, drifting dangerously close to a star that is burning too hot. We stay in these dynamics out of a misplaced sense of loyalty, a fear of being alone, or a naive hope that we can somehow change the other person. But all the while, their relentless negativity, their subtle criticisms, and their emotional chaos are slowly scorching our own inner landscape. Our confidence withers, our energy is depleted, and our spirit begins to feel barren and burned out. We are sacrificing our own well-being in a futile attempt to survive in an environment that is fundamentally hostile to our growth. The transformative solution is to recognize that creating physical or emotional distance from chronically toxic or disrespectful people is not a cruel act, nor is it a sign of failure. It is a necessary and profound act of psychological self-preservation and self-respect, like the Earth maintaining its life-sustaining orbit. The core Stoic idea is that you are the primary guardian of your own mind, your inner citadel. It is your most sacred duty to protect it from influences that would corrupt, diminish, or destroy it. The Stoics were not advocates for enduring abuse or toxicity endlessly. They were pragmatists. They understood that while we should be tolerant and just with all people, we do not have to grant everyone intimate access to our lives. As Epictetus might say, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot be a source of strength for anyone if you allow your own spirit to be consumed by another's fire. The benefit of this is that you reclaim your own life. You create the necessary space for your own healing, your own growth, and your own peace to flourish. By creating distance, you are not just escaping a negative influence. You are actively choosing to cultivate a positive and healthy inner world. The actionable step is to conduct a private energy audit. For 1 week, at the end of each day, take out your journal and make 2 lists. The first list is titled Energizers. On this list, write down the people or interactions from your day that left you feeling uplifted, inspired, respected, and energized. The second list is titled Drainers. On this list, write down the people or interactions that left you feeling diminished, anxious, resentful, or exhausted. Be brutally honest. At the end of the week, look at your lists. The pattern will likely be very clear. Your task is not to immediately cut off everyone on the drainers list, but to make a conscious, strategic decision to create more distance from them and to invest more of your precious time and energy with the people and activities on the energizers list. This audit gives you the clear data you need to make wise decisions about how you allocate your life force. I urge you to begin this audit tonight. Discover who is the sun that nourishes you and who is the sun that scorches you, and then adjust your orbit accordingly. Sometimes, the most powerful way to create distance is to walk away completely, without a lengthy explanation. How do we master this difficult art? Our next lesson is on walking away without explaining yourself. To support our channel's mission, please comment below and share one thing that energizes you. Lesson 4. Walk away without explaining yourself. Imagine a lion, the king of his domain. He is resting with his pride when a pack of yapping, taunting hyenas approaches, trying to provoke him into a fight. The lion observes them with a calm, almost bored indifference. He knows he could easily engage and destroy them, but he also knows it would be a pointless waste of his energy, beneath his dignity and a distraction from his true purpose, which is to lead and protect his pride. After a moment of assessment, he makes a decision. He simply turns his back, gives a silent signal to his pride, and walks away into the tall grass. He does not feel the need to explain his decision to the hyenas. He does not roar back a justification. His action is his statement. It says, "You are irrelevant to me." This is an act of supreme and quiet power. The inner conflict we face is that we are not the lion. We are often the creature that feels compelled to explain and justify itself to the hyenas. The painful problem is that when we decide to create distance or walk away from a person or situation, we feel an overwhelming obligation to provide a long, detailed, and often apologetic explanation for our decision. We feel we owe it to the other person to make them understand and agree with our choice. This is a disastrous strategy. It often invites the very people we are trying to get away from into a debate about our decision. They will argue with our reasons, they will pick apart our logic, and they will use our own explanation as a tool for further guilt-tripping and manipulation. Our attempt to leave becomes a protracted and exhausting negotiation, which only drains more of our energy and makes a clean exit impossible. We are trying to leave, but we are inviting them to pull us back in. The transformative solution is to embrace the quiet, dignified strength of the lion. It is the art of the clean, quiet, and unapologetic exit. Understanding that you do not owe an explanation for a decision you have made to protect your own peace. The core Stoic idea is that for a sovereign individual, no is a complete sentence. Your decision, made from a place of reason and self-respect, is its own justification. A long, defensive over-explanation is actually a sign of a weak position. It signals that you are not fully confident in your own choice and are still seeking the other person's approval or validation for it. The strong man, the Stoic, knows that his well-reasoned decisions require no external validation. The benefit of this is that it makes your departures clean, final, and powerful. It prevents you from getting sucked back into the very dynamic you have decided to leave. It preserves your energy and your peace of mind, and it communicates with unshakable clarity that your decision is non-negotiable. This is an act of profound self-respect. The actionable step is to practice the minimalist exit. First, recognize that there is a difference between an explanation and an information statement. You may need to provide brief, factual information. "I am resigning from my position effective in 2 weeks." You do not need to provide a long emotional justification. Practice formulating simple, final, and non-negotiable exit lines that you can have ready. For example, "I have thought about this carefully, and I've decided this is not the right path for me." Or, "I've realized that I am no longer available for this type of conversation." Or, most simply, "My decision on this is final." The key is that after you deliver this short, calm statement, you must stop talking. You do not answer the follow-up questions designed to draw you into a debate. You simply repeat the statement or remain silent. This is the verbal equivalent of the lion turning and walking into the tall grass. It will feel uncomfortable, but it is a skill of immense power. I urge you to practice formulating one of these minimalist exit lines for a situation in your own life. Be the lion, not the hyena. A clean exit is often the enforcement of a boundary. How do boundaries themselves command a quiet respect? Our next lesson explores this connection. Please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to learn more about the art of powerful communication. Lesson 5. Boundaries command quiet respect. Imagine the clearly marked lines on a professional sports field, a tennis court, a football field, a basketball court. These lines do not shout. They do not apologize. They do not get angry. They are simply there, silent, clear, and absolute. And they command the complete respect of all the players. In fact, the entire game, with all its complexity and beauty, is only possible because every single player has agreed to honor these steadfast, quiet boundaries. The lines themselves are what create the container for a fair and respectful contest. The inner conflict for many of us is that we try to play the complex game of life and relationships without any clearly marked lines, and then we are shocked when others constantly run out of bounds. The painful problem is that a lack of clear, consistent boundaries is a direct invitation for disrespect and encroachment. When people do not know where your lines are, they will inevitably and constantly cross them, often without malicious intent. When you fail to enforce a boundary, you are teaching people that your personal space, your time, and your values are not important. The respect you desire from others must first be demonstrated by the respect you show for yourself. And boundaries are the most powerful and tangible demonstration of self-respect. Without them, you are a game without rules, a chaotic free-for-all where your own peace and well-being are constantly being trampled. The transformative solution is to understand that the very act of creating distance, as we have been discussing, is the calm and powerful enforcement of a boundary. It is this enforcement that commands a quiet, profound respect. The core Stoic idea is that a boundary is only real if it is enforced. A line drawn in the sand is meaningless if you allow people to walk over it without consequence. The Stoics were men of action, and they understood that a principle that is not embodied in action is not a principle at all. It is merely a preference. Creating distance, whether it's ending a conversation, taking space, or leaving a relationship, is the calm, decisive enforcement that teaches others that your boundaries are real and that you are a man of your word. The benefit of this is that your relationships become clearer, safer, and more respectful. People learn your rules of engagement. They learn what is acceptable and what is not. This actually reduces conflict because the boundaries are known ahead of time. It is the ultimate form of speaking soft, acting decisive. The actionable step is to practice the boundary consequence model. First, identify one key boundary that is frequently being violated in your life. Second, decide in advance what the calm, rational, and respectful consequence will be the next time it is violated. The consequence should almost always be a form of creating distance. For example, boundary: I will not tolerate being yelled at in an argument. Consequence: the first time my partner raises their voice, I will calmly say, I need you to speak to me with a calm tone. If they continue to yell, I will calmly say, I am not willing to continue this conversation while I am being yelled at, and I will leave the room. The key is that you are not punishing them. You are protecting your own peace. You are simply and calmly enforcing the rules of your own game. I challenge you this week to define one boundary and its calm consequence. Be the quiet but firm referee of your own life. Creating distance can feel like a loss of power. But what if the opposite is true? Our next lesson is on how absence can actually build inner power. If you are ready to command respect through clear boundaries, please like this video. Lesson 6. Absence builds inner power. Imagine a great archer with a powerful longbow. The bow itself, when unstrung, is just a piece of wood. The string is limp and powerless. The power of the bow is only unleashed in the act of creating tension and distance. To prepare a shot, the archer must pull the bowstring far back, creating a great distance between the string and the bow. It is in this moment of strategic absence, of calculated distance, that the bow is charged with immense potential energy. Without that distance, without that tension, the string is just a limp cord, incapable of launching an arrow with any force. The inner conflict we face is that we fear absence. We fear that if we create distance, if we are not constantly present and available, we will be forgotten, we will become irrelevant, and we will lose our value and our influence. The painful problem with this belief is that it can lead to a needy and smothering presence in our relationships and our work. We believe our value is in our constant availability. We answer every text instantly. We say yes to every request. We never take time for ourselves because we are terrified that if we create any absence, we will lose our position. This constant presence, however, devalues us. Like a commodity that is always in oversupply, our time, our attention, and our very presence begin to be taken for granted. Furthermore, by never pulling back the bowstring, by never creating that space for ourselves, we fail to charge ourselves with the potential energy that comes from solitude, deep work, and a connection to our own purpose. The transformative solution is to understand the powerful and profound paradox that strategic, purposeful absence is what builds inner power. increases your value, and actually commands more respect than constant, needy presence. The core Stoic idea here is not about playing manipulative, hard-to-get games. It is about having a life, a purpose, and a mission that is so important and so compelling that you simply are not always available. The Stoic warrior is dedicated to his duties, to his studies, and to the cultivation of his own character. This requires significant time spent in solitude and deep work. His absence is not a tactic to manipulate others. It is a natural and honest consequence of his commitment to his own growth and his own purpose. The benefit of this is twofold. First, you actually build your inner power. The time you spend alone, working on your purpose, is the time you spend pulling back the bowstring, gathering your potential energy. You become a more interesting, more skilled, and more valuable person. Second, your time and presence become more valuable to others. When you are not always available, the time you do choose to give is seen as a precious and respected gift. The actionable step is to practice purposeful absence. Look at your calendar for the coming week. You must schedule several non-negotiable appointments with yourself. This is time that is dedicated solely to your own mission. It could be 2 hours of deep work on my business, or 1 hour of reading and study, or a 90-minute workout. You must treat these appointments with the same seriousness as an appointment with your most important client. This time is sacred. It is you, pulling back the bowstring, creating the powerful distance that charges your life with energy. By practicing this, you will find that you have more to offer when you are present, and you will be more respected in your absence. I urge you to schedule your first purposeful absence this week. Build your own power in the quiet space you create for yourself. This brings us to our final, synthesizing lesson. How does all this, silence, detachment, boundaries, and absence, lead to the ultimate goal of mastering control through restraint? That is our final lesson. Please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to continue this journey. Lesson 7. Master control through restraint. Imagine a massive, powerful river, its waters surging with the force of 1,000 mountain streams. In its natural, unrestrained state, this river is a chaotic and often destructive force, prone to unpredictable floods and wasted energy. Now, imagine a great dam has been built across that river. The dam does not destroy the river's power. In fact, it does the opposite. Through the profound act of restraint, the dam concentrates the river's immense, chaotic power, allowing it to be channeled through a few small turbines to generate enough clean, focused energy to power an entire city. The dam's power comes not from its output, but from what it holds back. The ultimate expression of mastery is not found in release, but in restraint. The final inner conflict we face is our cultural belief that strength is about expressing our full power at all times, that control is about imposing our will on the world. We believe that restraint is a form of weakness. The painful problem is that a lack of restraint is the very definition of a weak and undisciplined character. The person who cannot restrain their tongue, who cannot restrain their impulses, who cannot restrain their need for validation, is not a powerful person. They are a slave to their own internal chaos. They are the flooding river, their power dissipated, destructive, and ultimately wasted. Their inability to create distance, to be silent, to say no, is a sign of a profound lack of self-control, which is the opposite of the strength they are trying to project. The transformative solution is the final and most powerful synthesis of all the lessons we have explored. It is the deep, Stoic understanding that true control and true power are manifested in the quiet, dignified, and unwavering practice of restraint. The core idea is that the man who has mastered the art of creating distance has in fact mastered himself. He is not reactive. He is not needy. He is not easily provoked. He is a man of profound and powerful self-possession. His power is demonstrated most clearly not in what he does, but in what he chooses not to do. He chooses not to engage in pointless arguments. He chooses not to absorb the emotional chaos of others. He chooses not to explain himself to those who are not worthy of an explanation. He chooses not to be constantly available. Each of these acts of restraint is an act of immense power. It is the dam, concentrating his energy for a higher purpose. The benefit of this is that you become a man of immense gravity and substance. You develop an unshakable core of inner peace and self-control. Your actions become more deliberate, more effective, and more powerful because they are no longer diluted by constant reactive noise and motion. You become the master of your own energy. The actionable step to make this a part of your very being is the daily restraint practice. Each day, your goal is to find one small opportunity to deliberately practice the art of restraint. Restrain the impulse to give your unsolicited opinion in a meeting. Restrain the impulse to check your phone when you are bored. Restrain the impulse to jump into a conversation that does not concern you. Restrain the urge to have the last word in a minor disagreement. Each time you practice this, you are strengthening the great wall of the dam. You are proving to yourself that you are in control. Feel the quiet, immense power that comes from that small act of deliberate, conscious control. I urge you to find your one act of restraint today. See it not as a limitation, but as the ultimate expression of your personal power and freedom. We have journeyed through the 7 great lessons of the Stoic art of creating distance, from the power of a silent tongue to the ultimate mastery of control through restraint. This path teaches us that true strength is often found not in moving closer, but in the wisdom to step back, not in speaking louder, but in the quiet confidence of our own inner peace and unwavering self-respect. Thank you for taking this time to explore this powerful philosophy of self-possession. If this video has served you on your journey, please like this video, comment with your greatest insight, and subscribe to the Stoic Power channel for more wisdom on building a life of profound strength and integrity.